Good day, folks. This is Judy, Green Pastures Farm. The subject today is keeping the cows rumen adequately balanced with fresh spring grass. Boy, we've got a lot of spring grass over here. A lot of green. There's hardly any dry matter in the bottom of it. We did come through this pasture twice in the winter. That last pass pretty much took out all the dry matter. But, you know, it kept us from feeding hay for a couple of days, and the cows did fine. And today the boys are moving that wire over there, and we've this is one bale. That's one 1,200-pound net wrap bale. And what we did is we just took pitchforks and we spread it out over a wide area. And I just picked the bale out. This is a good bale. It's got orchard grass, a little bit of brome in it, of course fescue, clover, and I noticed the cows' manure paths were getting a little bit runny. And I'm like, you know, it wouldn't hurt just to give them a little dry matter. Now what we find out is they're going to walk right through that hay. They're sniffing it, and they're going to get that green. There's a few over there already put their heads down eating some of the hay too. But they'll get the green, and then they'll come back here and they'll balance their gut. Because it's just way too much green and not enough brown. We did this the other day, and I mean, they went through this dry hay and you couldn't hardly find it. I mean, they just absolutely came back and balanced their diet. But I noticed some of them this morning, they're getting runny again. They're super green. So we just spread it out in little bitty piles like this. And by doing that, all the animals get a chance to have a little bit of dry. But they're going to go for the green first. That's just the way they are. If you locked them on here, if you put a wire around this hay and put them in here, there's some they're eating already, but if you locked them in on it, well, they'd have to eat it. But they'll come back to this. By morning, it's just going to look like a dusting in here. You're not going to be able to hardly see the hay because they'll probably eat around 80% of this. But, you know, if your cows are on green grass in the spring, folks, and they're real washy, and you keep going around your farm like that all spring, your cows are actually losing weight. Or they can be. And, you know, here we are spring, they're getting ready to calve, and you sure don't want them backing up. We call it backing up when they're dropping weight. And I'm going to put this phone in. There's the original Great Judy baling roller, but the wind's just picked up, and I want y'all to be able to hear this. The purpose of the dry is, you know, they can take this dry, just a little bit of that green, more green than dry, and they can turn that into a carbohydrate, okay, and sugars. And so instead of having a super high protein diet on this green stuff, they're really going to do well when they come back and eat some of this brown. And I noticed the bulls the other day when they were with the sheep, the bulls were actually grazing underneath the wire where the sheep fence was. It was in that 3-strand sheep fence where the forage was just brown, tall brown. Those steers and bulls, I said steers, the bulls went in and ate all that brown matter. Just cleaned it off, just like you'd given them candy. Well, their gut was telling them that's what they needed. And so they're not stupid. That's what they're going to go after. They're going to get exactly what they need if they are allowed to do that. Right now, they're allowing themselves to go out on this green. You'd be surprised by morning. I mean, see, this is an evening move. April 5th. You can see the clovers are really coming on here. Folks, this is a lease farm. We've never put any clover, no lime, no fertilizer down on it. It was originally a 5-year lease. We are on our 5th year. And so the landowner seems pretty happy what we're doing. We actually saved his lake this week. This is another lake. It's a big lake back in the middle of this big timber. Back in there. It's about a 5-acre lake. We went back there. I was just going to show the boys what a beautiful lake it was, and we're going to go fishing there. And the beavers had moved in and actually raised his spillway up 2 feet. And the water was seeping over the top of the dam on that lake. I was about half scared to drive across the top of the dam, thinking that it could go at any minute. And so we went over those spades, me and the boys, and we took out the spillway beaver dam that they put up. You see, what beavers were trying to do is they were trying to back the water up further back into the timber. It's got white oak timber all the way around it. And the beavers killed about 200 white oak trees in there 5 years ago, right the year I took this over. And a trapper came in and got them, and boy, that was it. Well, they've come back. And what they do is they follow this creek down here in the bottom, and they go up in that woods when they find that lake, and boy, they're at home. They're at home. So we dug it out, and we're having to continually kind of keep an eye on it. But they stopped up the 8-inch pipe that goes out into the lake. And so the boys are gonna put on their swimming trunks. We have to make a video of that. And they're gonna wade out in there with a potato fork and get all the mud and the sticks clogged out of that 8-inch pipe. When you're digging around an 8-inch pipe, you gotta be careful, because there's a huge suction there, sucking the water through that pipe. And you don't want to get your foot in the front of that or anything like that, but we're going to pull that debris back, and then we're going to girder it and go all the way around at the steel post, and about 2 inches apart, all the way around, make a circle around that pipe where the beavers can't get in there and stop that thing up again. That's our first try at it. And then the conservation agent actually told me, take a steel pipe and put a 45 on it and run it out into the lake on top of the water surface with 1-inch holes drilled in the steel pipe with a cap on it. That way the beavers can't build up the the dam tall enough to stop it up. But we had our river the other night. Isaac and Ben and I, we were digging on that thing, and the more we dug on it, boy, the water started going out. And that night, those beavers came back and started mudding up a dam again within 12, not even 12 hours, within 8 hours. Beavers don't like the sound of running water, and I wish the beavers would stay down here on the creek, because I love beavers, but you can't let them take out a lake, and that's what was going to happen. The water was going to go over that dam, and it was literally going to wash out a 5-acre lake. So we saved the landowner's lake just by going back there. Otherwise, it probably would have been gone. But yeah, you get into all kinds of things out here on the land. I don't think the boys realized when they signed up that we were going to be competing with beavers trying to save lakes. But you know, the beavers are just work. You've heard that term, they work like a beaver, you're busy as a beaver. I know where it came from now. Those guys are busy. They're engineers. Man, they can build a dam. And to back up that much water, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable that just, a 60 or 70 pound rodent could swim through the water with that much power and move that much mud and dirt and debris and build up a dam. I mean, there wasn't hardly any water coming through that dam. It was unbelievable how much water they backed up. But they're not very happy with us. We took their dam out, and it was either that or lose the lake. So you gotta do the lake. You gotta save the lake. But we're hoping the beavers will resituate down here on this creek, and maybe we can be friends with them. I like beavers. I like them in the rivers and the creeks, because they back water up for livestock and fish and frogs, and the coons get to use those areas. We've got another beaver population about a mile from here, and they're on the creek, and I love them. You go down there at night and you hear the beaver tails slapping the water. And if it's right at dusk, it'll just about scare you to death. You don't know what it was. It sounds like something with a canoe paddle hitting the top of the water. But beavers are part of the natural system, and if they weren't in that lake back there and they're on the creek, I'd just leave them alone. But you just, it's probably a $30,000 dam back there if you had to build that thing back. And the water, the whole dam, all the way across the top of it, the water was just seeping right over the top of the dam. I was a little bit scared to walk on it. Boy, that thing cut loose, and you talk about a ride. You may not survive that ride. But I'm going to make a video of it. It's just a beautiful area back there, and reason I don't want to talk around back there too much. That is some of our prime turkey hunting, and I put my turkey blind up back there, so I don't want to be making a lot of racket back there. I don't want to spook the turkeys out. There's a huge population of turkeys back there. I know why. It's secretive. They don't get messed with back there, and they got plenty of timber and trees to roost in, lots of acorns, and it's just turkey heaven back there. But these cattle here are getting this pond today. We put a pond. There's a little pond here, and the landowner lets me use that for water as long as we fence around it. And you know, we just ran a a poly braid, and this will be reeled up when we leave. Because we fish this pond, and I don't want to be casting over that wire right there. Especially if I catch a big bass, and I'm fighting him, then I got to negotiate a hot wire trying to get the bass out of the water. So when the cattle are done, this wire right here, I'll show you. It's pretty cool. There's their water point right there. So the wire actually goes out in the pond about a foot, and oh my gosh, that was a big fish right there. Whew, I'm gonna have to get my pole and get over here. That was a lunker. But they can drink right there, and then on the other side, right over on that corner, they can drink, and then right up here at the very tip of this pond. So there's 3 different spots that they can drink around this pond. And what we did to get power to that, because I did try running a fake wire around it, I didn't energize it, by God, they got underneath it. And so what we did is, I didn't want a paddock out here in the middle of my pond, or out in the middle of my pasture. So this is what we did. So this is called the transmission line. So that's a big pole. Okay, it's epoxy fiberglass. It's that one's 18 feet tall. And that goes to that one, up the hill over to that one, and clear back to the power source. So there's no fence for these cows to negotiate. So I can drive under here if I'm unrolling hay, or if I'm out here cutting brush, or putting in paddocks. I don't have to worry with this wire, okay? But I've got a power source right here. So we just ran it down to the ground, ran a hook around. Here's my reel. Whoop. You see it's powered up right there, and that's hot. And then this is me. I reached down one night in the dark, and man, did I get 8,000 volts. So I just put a piece of hose on that just to keep from getting shocked. You get a good one, boy, you long remember it. But we've been using this pond for 5 years. Look at those cows drinking over there. They haven't hurt it one bit. Not one bit. So they're getting a drink. The landowner's happy. I'm happy. The cows are happy. And we're protecting the environment. We're not destroying the pond. Because there's fish in there. There's big fish in there. We don't want cattle in there. Absolutely don't. It just costs way too much money to build one of these and just have cows destroy them in 5 to 7 years. And I know I get people that have commented even on YouTube saying, well, we let our cows in the pond. Okay, well, that's fine. But here in Missouri, if you do that, your pond's going to last about 5 years. And you got to dig it out again. And not only that, what do you think a cow does when they're sitting out in that water? They're pooping in it and they're peeing in it. And then you got to make them drink that? Not me. Because folks, clean, good water is the cheapest thing you can put in cows. And you'll get another probably 1/4 to 1/2 pound of gain on those calves that are drinking nice, clean water all summer long instead of urinated, manure-laden water. That's terrible. Don't make your animals drink that. You should have I have a saying, if I wouldn't drink the water, by God, I'm not going to make my, by golly, I am not going to make my animals drink it. Just not. By gosh, it's just not worth it. So give them clean water. Clean water, that's where it's at. It's the cheapest thing you can put in them. And with that, we're going to go ahead and put the back fence up. We've got cows calving. I don't want them back over there in that brush for in the morning when we move them. If we put the back fence up, we know they're all right here, and this is where we'll look for baby calves if we have any. Because we got a bunch of cows that are calving right now, or going to be. And it's real easy. It's real easy to leave one behind if you're not careful. So you got to go through your cows in the morning before you open the gate. Just drive through them. Look at all of them. Anything with the tail sticking up, anyone that's off by itself, those are all candidates that something has calved. And they may have that calf hidden. And you move them into the next paddock and you close the gate, boy, you are in trouble. Because now you got a cow that can't get back to her new calf until that night when you go to move them and she's standing at the gate bawling at you. Don't do that. So we tag all the new calves the second day, and that way when we move them, we account for every tagged calf, or we don't move them. We will make sure we get every new calf, and if we can't find that new calf that matches up with the cow, I'm saying new calf, the 2-day-old calf, we'll sort her out, and we'll leave her behind and move the mob forward, and she's got to go find that calf. And when she does, then she gets to rejoin the mob. It's easy to do a polywire. That's what I love about poly. I said polywire, I meant poly braid. But folks, this is amazing to me. The clover that's come onto this farm, no seeding. This is always in the seed bank. Probably complements, some of it was from the hay, just being unrolled. So we got a heck of a seed bank in here now, and we didn't sow anything. Cow hooves, we sowed 4 cow hooves and lots of them. Look at those animals. I mean, they are turning and burning. I can't wait for the winter hair coats to come off. They're going to start looking a lot better. They're starting to get spots missing. It won't be too long. If it gets up in the 80s, they'll come off right quick. They're going to want to get it off because they're going to be hot. This is another thing we leave. This is an autumn olive. Most people come by here and they say, Greg, why in the world did you leave those 3 autumn olive trees? Because those are an invasive species. Well, guess what? That cow's rubbing her back on it. In the winter, in the summertime, you'll see 6 or 7 cows around that tree. Pretty good shade right there. That autumn olive is a legume. It fixes nitrogen. And so it's actually healing the soil around those trees. So I'm going to leave them. They ain't hurting anything. They're just not. So, by golly, don't go out thinking you got to kill all these trees. That was the mindset I had. Kill every tree you can that's out in the pasture. Leave the ones alone down the draws. Well, you need some out in the pasture too. That's where your cows are grazing. It's nice to have a few trees spotted around your pasture. And with that, I'm going to sign off. And all you new folks that are just found the channel, hit that subscribe button on the way out if you like. If you like what you see, and we're going to be covering more of the spring flush as we go forward. And we'll see you all down the road, and stay safe out there. And we'll see you next time.